Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Eddie Marcus again. I've been talking to you about making America again, recreating America. What am I talking about? What am I saying to you? I'm saying that America that I envision, and I would like to think that you envision, is so much different than we have today. Most of the institutions that we have established in this country addresses our concerns, so they are legitimate. There might be a couple of them that we won't need a little bit later on when we recognize how we can handle this stuff in a more efficient manner. But there's a purpose when I speak about recreating America. There is a storyline that goes, I'd like to share with you. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to advocate it as being true. I would advocate it as being something that I heard and something that I read and something that I would hope in. And I'm sure perhaps you felt the same way. You know, I'm concerned about the promised land. That promised land, it never happened. It has not occurred. In the Bible, they give the impression that God created a heaven and put angels there. Angels were given heaven. I would like to think that there were some instructions given. Be that as it may, there was a spirit walking to and fro in heaven, trying to see who can be corrupted. And what was used for that corruption was a lie. It was a lie. It was anti what had already been told. It was anti what had been established. It brought confusion. And I heard, according to the story, that a third of the heavenly host, angels, accepted and bought into this deception, understanding that it was not accepted there, so it was kicked out. And I've heard many stories about where it went, and you probably have too, so I'm not going to try to tell you where it went. All I can say is that there's another story that said that God created a different group of people. They weren't angels. And he put them in a place called the Garden of Eden. And he made it heavenly to them. I can imagine what he said to the angels, because apparently this God did the same kind of instruction to the inhabitants of Eden. All things are for you. All things. What is that? That's heaven. All things. Except. Now you know what that was. Except. Wow. Temptation right there. Except. Don't do. You know, when you were a kid, your parents would say don't do something, and you would wonder whether you should or not. Now, if you caught your parents doing what they told you not to do, you definitely have been influenced to try it out. And once you try it out, don't let it be something good, like a good piece of candy when they say don't eat, or a good reaching way out there and run into something that, whoa, you definitely are not going to quit that. Well, see, this is kind of how you get sidetracked. And so here we are in this Eden. Don't do that. Temptation. And what happens? A lie. The same kind of thing that happened in heaven was utilized, practiced. It didn't change in the garden. A lie. And the population bought into that lie. Now the story goes, jumping on ahead quite a distance, that this lie had led people to the point in life that they were slaves by other people who were perpetuators of that lie. The one who made this lie up, the one who bought into this lie and partnered with this lie, they were the rulers. They had deceived everybody else. They were the rulers. And those who weren't smart enough to either become a part of it or how to defeat it, they yielded and bent their back and became slaves, or anything else they wanted them to be. And if they weren't slaves, those who yielded to become a part of the team would have been used as slaves, because that's the way the system of evil works. Well, they bought into the lie. But somewhere the story says that they had heard that there was a power somewhere that had promised them freedom if they could just believe, if they could just look forward to it, if they could just hope on it enough to cause it to be, and that there would be a deliverer. That's what the story said. Somebody was going to come and share the message about what they didn't know. They had heard something, but they didn't really know. And so things were so bad, according to the story, that one day, one amongst them rose up for some strange reason. There are many reasons that have been given depending on where you come from, but it meant one thing. He broke and became a rebel to that. And having done that, it was like he was joining the side of those that were oppressed, of those who were slaves. And for some point in time, received inspiration to lead these people out of this place called Egypt land. Telling old Pharaoh that I am says, let these people go. You know, the liar, the evil one came by into that, so he tried to do a couple of things to prove that the power was with Egypt. Make a long story short, they eventually left. And where were they going? They were going to a place called the Promised Land. Where were they going? To a place called the Promised Land. The story goes that they went across a sea. They went through all kinds of changes too. But they found the spot, I guess you would say, where they were basically settling. They were going through some changes. They said they got hungry. The manna rained from the sky to let them know that this God, this power, this invisible power that they were being led by was watching them. So, somebody giving you bread, I bet that was good, especially when you didn't know how to get bread. Anyway, this is the Promised Land. Here we have a group of people, a group of slaves who come out of Egypt. What were these people's character? What were these people made of? They were Egyptians, really. When I say Egyptians, I mean the character that they exhibited. This is the life that they had been exposed to. Oh, yes, they had hope. They were down being trodden on. And so they were hoping for freedom, hoping for liberation of some sort. Now it comes. They don't really believe it, but it's moving. And so let's go with the flow. Only to come out of Egypt as a person, but brought Egypt with them in spirit. And so a promised land to them meant a creation or recreation of what they had in Egypt. But they, out there where they were, could not do that with what they had in Egypt. So you had a big mess. A big mess. And that mess, my friends, is the same mess that allowed 400 or more years of blacks and people of color being treated less than human beings, being treated as slaves. Up to this very day, it is that same spirit, that very same spirit, that had to do with the Holocaust. Yes, my friends, it was that same spirit that allowed China to give in to one man, or North Korea to give in to one man, or Russia to give in to one man, or anywhere where there's a dictator. Or it doesn't have to be a dictator. It could be a monarchy. It could be a democracy. And you know what? Things are a little bit different, but the outcome is the same. So right there, where this promised land was supposed to be, didn't come. And here we are in America today, looking for that promised land. Everywhere people believe or heard the story, they're looking for that promised land because it has not arrived. Why hasn't it arrived? Because you didn't know what the promised land was. You don't know what the promised land is. I'm going to tell you a couple of things just to make this story pass. I got something else to do, and I want you to come back and ask questions because I want to answer the questions. What has happened is that heaven still exists, but you have to qualify for heaven. You have to qualify. What is the promised land, you might ask? The promised land is a place built on the spirit of peace for everyone, built on the spirit of freedom for everyone, built on the premise of prosperity for everyone, built on the premise of joy of life for everyone, built on the premise of your dreams coming true for everyone, your needs, your wants, and your desires is the promised land. Now, what that would basically entail, that would grab each of you and want to pull you into at least the discussion, is that there are certain things amongst this plan that are common amongst each of you, and it relates to your security, it relates to your survival. Telling you about it, this new, where the promised land is built. None of you ever suffer for food. You got an abundance of it and choices of it. Heavenly. You ever gone to a place where you walk into the restaurant or a place and they say, wow, look what we got here. Woo-wee. Well, see, that's what I'm talking about. Every day, all meals. Never have to worry about shelter. No one. I mean, your pleasure. Some people might still want a tent. Some people might still want to live in a cave. But it's your pleasure. And you know what? It's heavenly. It's beautiful because no one wants to live in trash. No one wants to live in ghetto. So it's magnificent based upon the plan. No one suffers from access to education as is desired. No one. You know? Healthcare, same thing. From the cradle to the grave. Never have to worry about it. And getting the best. Now, what actually happens, I just mentioned these things because they're common. But then the imagination of thousands, millions of people bringing forth all kinds of ideals that can be brought together with the the approval of the spirit of love. Now you see you're unlimited. All of these things that I just mentioned to you, this is a gift. This is a blessing. This is the purpose of the promised land, because these are the things that we as individuals, all of us, wherever we come from, want, desire, need. So here we are. All of us, in some kind of way, would benefit from it. Would benefit from it. Now, how can we enjoy this wonderful new heaven and have joy in it? The best way is to participate in the process of causing a manifestation of all of these things. And you were so designed to do that, because each of you have a gift that would allow you to engage yourself in the process of creation, but engaging yourself in that which gives you your greatest joy. Your greatest reward in life is being alive and doing something that's worthwhile, that is appreciated and respected and needed. And you are like the sun doing your thing. And as a reward for that, all of the other stuff that I just mentioned, peace, prosperity, freedom, that's just a byproduct. Never having to worry about anything is a byproduct. Why? You are using the resources that's given. You who are given to do what you are given are doing what you are given. And this is the result. You are creating. What are you creating? The promised land. You are creating the promised land. Now, in the meanwhile, because it's going to be so hard, it has been so hard for people to understand this truth, people like myself will advocate for this because we know what we're talking about. We have received the miracle, and to whom much is given, much is required. So we have to stand up. We cannot not stand up and give glory and honor to the power that is what we know. And sometimes we might have to leave. What I mean by that, somebody want to kill us, which is a door that has been made open by heaven to get us out of a place where we are rejected and bring us to a higher place where the seed that we planted here is now growing fruit. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the promised land, you don't lie, you don't have to. You don't cheat, you don't have to. But when you look at America, and I just stated that there was a lie in heaven, there was a lie in the garden. When I told you a moment ago, this thing that brought America to, it's been created, it's been coming to this point all along. Ever since its existence, it's been coming to this point. But what brought it to the center, brought it right now, ready to explode, is a lie. It's a lie. Do you remember back in the 60s, somebody saw a movie called Rosemary's Baby? And everybody started thinking, who is that devil going to be? Who is that one that's going to come into this earth and try to destroy it? Tell the biggest lie. Well, in our lifetime, it has only been one. And that one's motto was this: I and I alone can fix it. And they were working on it. You kind of woke up to kind of grab it, but it hasn't stopped. And if you try to think that you can stay here in this ground, in this area, playing the same old games, knowing that you're dealing with, you're going to lose. And God will allow you to lose. I want you to know, God will allow you to lose until you recognize you're not going to be put up in heaven. We already know if you're put in heaven, it doesn't take nothing to get you out. If you just put in a garden, it doesn't take much to get you out. You just put in anywhere. But until you make up your mind, the straight and narrow, when you stand up as an individual, what impact you will have on the rest of the country, the nation, it really doesn't matter. You would hope, but you don't worry about that. What you're doing, you're representing the truth. You're representing love. You're representing a power that people can't see anyplace else, but they now see it in you. They might not like it, but you're representing it. And see, that is, my friends, the straight and narrow. When you start doing that, you're free already. When you start doing that, you free already. You might not have all those things I just mentioned, but you are in the making of that. You are in a place where that stuff don't exist. But because of you, now this stuff is going to begin to exist. So you got a wonderful work to do. All of you who've been called by the Spirit to lift up joy and let people imagine again what wonderful the world can be. Let that happen. Let that happen. We can still remind them of the lie that's being told. We can still every now and then remind them what the lie is doing right now to try to keep itself out there and important. But we want to be more emphasizing the new America, the one that we are beginning to build, the one that we're talking about. Look at some places like the Venus Project, other kind of projects. You know, people have been thinking about this stuff all along. They just haven't had the environment that was receptive for it. Now is the time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. It's been a wonderful day, and until next time, I say goodbye.